Welcome to our presentation brought to you by Thrive Alliance Group. At your age, life is busy, and you may find yourself grabbing junk food to eat, sitting for hours at a time, and staying up late on your devices at night. But this can also be a time where you create lifelong healthy habits that'll support a strong body, keep your mind sharp, and boost your mood by finding a balance of sleep, nutrition, and exercise. As teenagers, you learn new skills, gain more independence, and earn privileges that you didn't have as a kid, like driving a car. You might share a family vehicle or even invest in one yourself. And as you know, cars are really expensive. For them to last a long time and function properly, we need to care for them. They need to be fueled and maintained, or they break down and run out of gas. Well, there's nothing more valuable in life than you. You have one body, and it can run like a finely tuned machine by prioritizing sleep, nutrition, and exercise. Together, this foundation will help you thrive. Let's take a closer look at each component of our health. My guess is that you've heard about the importance of sleep and probably how you need to get more sleep. Well, there's some truth to that. How much sleep do you think teenagers should get every night? Well, research shows teenagers should get between 8 and 10 hours of sleep per night. You heard me, 8 to 10 hours every night. Research also shows that 7 out of 10 high school students do not get enough sleep on school nights. So, how can we improve that statistic, and why should we? Sleep is a time to recharge. Insufficient rest, inconsistent bedtimes, and even sleep deprivation can impact your mental health and sense of well-being. Our bodies have a natural balance, or sleep-wake cycle, called a circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythms coordinate our bodily functions so that we can be alert during the day and sleepy in the evening. When you rest and sleep, your systems remain active, repairing tissue, maintaining our immune system, growing muscles, and regulating hormones and body temperature, all of which are especially important during middle and high school, since growth and development are at their peak. Sleep is also linked to cognitive functions like memory. And after a good night's rest, you're better able to concentrate and problem solve, which leads to improved academic performance. Lastly, sleep helps our mood. When we are well rested, we best manage our stress and anxiety. We also have more patience. We're better able to show more empathy toward others and maintain an overall positive outlook on life. Also, disrupting your circadian rhythms can lead to sleep disorders, mood disturbances, and impaired cognitive function. Being tired can also lead to unhealthy eating habits and affect your motor skills, like decreasing your reaction time, which can be hazardous when driving a car. Did you know about 20% of traffic accidents worldwide are linked to sleep deprivation? Not to mention that it increases your chances of arriving at school late, which can have disciplinary consequences. Lastly, there's growing evidence that the lack of sleep will worsen our feelings of anxiety and depression. Are you one of those people who stay up cramming for a test the next day? Let's take a look at this video from TED Ed that just might change your approach. Let's dig into the science that supports the importance of sleep for your brain.
It's 4 a.m. and the big test is in 8 hours, followed by a piano recital. You've been studying and playing for days, but you still don't feel ready for either. So what can you do? Well, you can drink another cup of coffee and spend the next few hours cramming and practicing. But believe it or not, you might be better off closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep. Sleep occupies nearly a third of our lives, but many of us give surprisingly little attention and care to it. This neglect is often the result of a major misunderstanding. Sleep isn't lost time, or just a way to rest when all our important work is done. Instead, it's a critical function, during which your body balances and regulates its vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from circulation to growth and immune response. That's great, but you can worry about all those things after this test, right? Well, not so fast. It turns out that sleep is also crucial for your brain, with a fifth of your body's circulatory blood being channeled to it as you drift off. And what goes on in your brain while you sleep is an intensely active period of restructuring that's crucial for how our memory works. At first glance, our ability to remember things doesn't seem very impressive at all. 19th century psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus demonstrated that we normally forget 40% of new material within the first 20 minutes, a phenomenon known as the forgetting curve. But this loss can be prevented through memory consolidation, the process by which information is moved from our fleeting short-term memory to our more durable long-term memory. This consolidation occurs with the help of a major part of the brain, known as the hippocampus. Its role in long-term memory formation was demonstrated in the 1950s by Brenda Milner in her research with a patient known as HM. After having his hippocampus removed, HM's ability to form new short-term memories was damaged, but he was able to learn physical tasks through repetition. Due to the removal of his hippocampus, HM's ability to form long-term memories was also damaged. What this case revealed, among other things, was that the hippocampus was specifically involved in the consolidation of long-term declarative memory, such as the facts and concepts you need to remember for that test, rather than procedural memory, such as the finger movements you need to master for that recital. Milner's findings, along with work by Eric Kandel in the 90s, have given us our current model of how this consolidation process works. Sensory data is initially transcribed and temporarily recorded in the neurons as short-term memory. From there, it travels to the hippocampus, which strengthens and enhances the neurons in that cortical area. Thanks to the phenomenon of neuroplasticity, new synaptic buds are formed, allowing new connections between neurons and strengthening the neural network where the information will be returned as long-term memory. So why do we remember some things and not others? Well, there are a few ways to influence the extent and effectiveness of memory retention. For example, memories that are formed in times of heightened feeling or even stress will be better recorded due to the hippocampus's link with emotion. But one of the major factors contributing to memory consolidation is, you guessed it, a good night's sleep. Sleep is composed of 4 stages, the deepest of which are known as slow-wave sleep and rapid eye movement. EEG machines monitoring people during these stages have shown electrical impulses moving between the brainstem, hippocampus, thalamus, and cortex, which serve as relay stations of memory formation. And the different stages of sleep have been shown to help consolidate different types of memories. During the non-REM slow-wave sleep, declarative memory is encoded into a temporary store in the anterior part of the hippocampus. Through a continuing dialogue between the cortex and hippocampus, it is then repeatedly reactivated, driving its gradual redistribution to long-term storage in the cortex. REM sleep, on the other hand, with its similarity to waking brain activity, is associated with the consolidation of procedural memory. So based on the studies, going to sleep 3 hours after memorizing your formulas and 1 hour after practicing your scales would be the most ideal. So hopefully you can see now that skimping on sleep not only harms your long-term health, but actually makes it less likely that you'll retain all that knowledge and practice from the previous night. All of which just goes to affirm the wisdom of the phrase, sleep on it. When you think about all the internal restructuring and forming of new connections that occurs while you slumber, you could even say that proper sleep will have you waking up every morning with a new and improved brain, ready to face the challenges ahead.
So here are 8 tips on how we can improve our sleep habits. We call this sleep hygiene. First, at night, our bedroom should be a calm, dark, quiet, cool space to create an optimal sleep environment. I've invested in blackout curtains, and I know others that use a white noise machine or noise-canceling headphones for this purpose. Then create a sleep schedule. Try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends when it's possible. Developing new habits can take time. You may want to set alarms or reminders on your phone. Being consistent helps regulate our body's internal clock. Are you someone who likes to take naps during the day? Well, while they can be refreshing, try to limit them to 20 to 30 minutes and avoid napping too close to bedtime. When it's time for bed, we can create a routine that helps us to wind down, like taking a warm shower, reading a book, listening to music, or a sleep story on your device. But you want to avoid scrolling on your phone for at least an hour before bed. I know this is really hard, but research shows that blue light emitted from our devices interferes with the sleep-wake cycle that we mentioned earlier. Also, limit caffeine in the afternoon because it is a stimulant, and avoid large or heavy meals too close to bedtime because they can disrupt sleep too. We can include regular physical activity and exercise into our day. And lastly, read a book, write in a journal, or practice relaxation techniques such as deep breathing or meditation to calm our minds before bedtime. Making a to-do list for the next day can also help clear your mind and ease anxiety. Next, we'll examine how to fuel and nourish our bodies. Let's take a minute to think about what we eat and drink over the course of a day, starting with breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinner. Are our diets full of processed and prepackaged foods? Are we making healthy choices when we have the chance? Are we even sure what makes a better choice? Well, myplate.gov is a website created to help people of all ages build healthy eating habits, including you. On the left, we see a tip sheet for healthy eating for teens. You can download a copy for yourself through the QR code. The visual display on the right of your screen illustrates a balanced meal plan of the 5 food groups: fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, and low-fat dairy products or a soy alternative every day. It reminds us that fruits and veggies should make up half of what we consume during the day. If your daily food consumption looks like this image, good for you. However, most of us have room for improvement, and it may help to know how food impacts our health, starting with our brain. This is another video from TED Ed, an initiative dedicated to spreading teacher and student knowledge around the world. It does a nice job of explaining how the food you eat affects your brain. Let's take a look.
If you sucked all of the moisture out of your brain and broke it down to its constituent nutritional content, what would it look like? Most of the weight of your dehydrated brain would come from fats, also known as lipids. In the remaining brain matter, you would find proteins and amino acids, traces of micronutrients, and glucose. The brain is, of course, more than just the sum of its nutritional parts, but each component does have a distinct impact on functioning, development, mood, and energy. So that post-lunch apathy or late-night alertness you might be feeling, well, that could simply be the effects of food on your brain. Of the fats in your brain, the superstars are omegas 3 and 6. These essential fatty acids, which have been linked to preventing degenerative brain conditions, must come from our diets. So eating omega-rich foods like nuts, seeds, and fatty fish is crucial to the creation and maintenance of cell membranes. And while omegas are good fats for your brain, long-term consumption of other fats, like trans and saturated fats, may compromise brain health. Meanwhile, proteins and amino acids, the building block nutrients of growth and development, manipulate how we feel and behave. Amino acids contain the precursors to neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers that carry signals between neurons, affecting things like mood, sleep, attentiveness, and weight. They're one of the reasons we might feel calm after eating a large plate of pasta, or more alert after a protein-rich meal. The complex combinations of compounds in food can stimulate brain cells to release mood-altering norepinephrine, dopamine, and serotonin. But getting to your brain cells is tricky, and amino acids have to compete for limited access. A diet with a range of foods helps maintain a balanced combination of brain messengers and keeps your mood from getting skewed in one direction or the other. Like the other organs in our bodies, our brains also benefit from a steady supply of micronutrients. Antioxidants in fruits and vegetables strengthen the brain to fight off free radicals that destroy brain cells, enabling your brain to work well for a longer period of time. And without powerful micronutrients like the vitamins B6, B12, and folic acid, our brains would be susceptible to brain disease and mental decline. Trace amounts of the minerals iron, copper, zinc, and sodium are also fundamental to brain health and early cognitive development. In order for the brain to efficiently transform and synthesize these valuable nutrients, it needs fuel, and lots of it. While the human brain only makes up about 2% of our body weight, it uses up to 20% of our energy resources. Most of this energy comes from carbohydrates that our body digests into glucose or blood sugar. The frontal lobes are so sensitive to drops in glucose, in fact, that a change in mental function is one of the primary signals of nutrient deficiency. Assuming that we are getting glucose regularly, how does the specific type of carbohydrates we eat affect our brains? Carbs come in 3 forms: starch, sugar, and fiber. While on most nutrition labels, they are all lumped into one total carb count, the ratio of the sugar and fiber subgroups to the whole amount affect how the body and brain respond. A high glycemic food, like white bread, causes a rapid release of glucose into the blood, and then comes the dip. Blood sugar shoots down, and with it, our attention span and mood. On the other hand, oats, grains, and legumes have slower glucose release, enabling a steadier level of attentiveness. For sustained brain power, opting for a varied diet of nutrient-rich foods is critical. When it comes to what you bite, chew, and swallow, your choices have a direct and long-lasting effect on the most powerful organ in your body.
Okay, we've covered the importance of sleep and nutrition. The last component of our health to balance is movement and exercise. Making time to stay active during the day can improve our sleep quality, including our ability to fall asleep more quickly. There are also so many health benefits. Exercise improves blood circulation, strengthens our heart and bones, builds muscles, prevents disease and illness, and helps to maintain a healthy weight. Physical activity also releases mood-boosting chemicals in our brain called endorphins, which help us feel good and promote a sense of well-being. When this happens, our productivity and our sense of creativity increase. Getting exercise sharpens our memory, which is why so many teachers offer brain breaks during the school day. Yes, even for high school students. Exercise reduces physical and emotional tension, and it helps us to manage stress, anxiety, and feelings of depression. If you play a sport, fabulous. You're likely to get the physical activity you need during the day. But for everyone else, the word exercise can seem a little intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. Start small, like taking the stairs instead of an elevator or escalator, going for a walk around the block or to the park, dancing to your favorite music, or just taking some time to stretch. When you're ready for more, try going out for a jog or do some push-ups and sit-ups on a daily basis. Try riding a bike outside or a stationary version at home or in a gym. Go for a more intense hike, swim a few laps, or even follow a yoga or Pilates video on your phone. There are so many options, and it may take some time to find what works for you. The key is just to get started. And don't forget to drink your water. If you're one of those people who think they don't have time to exercise, we challenge you to document the amount of time spent on your devices at home. Yes, your phone. We think you could probably reallocate some of that time spent online. Less time on social media means more time taking care of yourself. And practice self-compassion. Don't be so hard on yourself when you miss a day, a week, or even a few. Know that you always have the opportunity to start again. In the words of author and speaker Dr. Steve Maraboli, It's up to you today to start making healthy choices, not choices that are just healthy for your body, but healthy for your mind. You're laying the foundation for a balanced, healthy, happy life, one sleep cycle, balanced meal, and workout session at a time. Thank you for joining us today. We're Thrive Alliance Group. Our goal is to connect the dots between mental health and academic success. To learn more about us, visit our website at www.thrivealliancegroup.com. Do you want to extend this lesson? In our presentation, we spoke about the importance of movement and how it can improve cognitive functions like memory. Here's a short video from Edutopia, a valuable source of information, inspiration, and practical strategies for teaching and learning. The video shows 9 quick brain breaks that teens will love. Take a look. Maybe there's an idea or two that you can bring back to class or use before an extracurricular activity meeting after school.
High school teachers, have your students had a brain break yet? For every 20 to 30 minutes of focused attention, teenagers should have a 3 to 5 minute break. It's a game changer. Breaks are often misunderstood as a pause in the active learning process, but actually, the opposite is true. Breaks are a time for students' brains to sort and strengthen memories of what they've recently practiced or learned. For older students, it's important to set aside a few minutes of space for reflection, joy, and connection during a packed school day. Quiet breaks offer students a chance to unwind and reset while keeping the classroom calm. Try challenging students to think outside the box. Provide the start of a doodle on the board, like 2 lines or a squiggle, that the class will have to replicate, then creatively transform into something unexpected on their own papers. Or consider a quick jigsaw jumble. Give small groups of students a handful of puzzle pieces and ask them to work to put the pieces together using only nonverbal communication. No talking. For a more informal break, turn off the lights, set a timer, and play some soft, calming music. Students can close their eyes as they process and prepare for the next portion of class. Physical activity increases blood flow and oxygen supply to stimulate the brain, helping students regain focus in the face of fatigue. Create a short sequence of exercises that students can all do together, like 5 high knees, 4 jumping jacks, 3 push-ups, 2 deep breaths, and 1 squat. Have students stand in a circle while you blow up a balloon. Toss the balloon into the air, and as a group, everyone has to keep the balloon off the ground using their heads, feet, elbows, anything but their hands. Or transform the classic game of rock, paper, scissors into a brief class tournament where students compete in pairs. Winners of the first round compete against other winners until one final champion is left standing. Collaboration can turn simple brain breaks into unique opportunities for relationship and community building. Display a picture of something your class would never encounter in your subject, like a murmuration of starlings or bioluminescence. Ask students, what is that? With no help from phones or computers, students have to work as a class to figure out what's happening in the photo. For a class that needs to work out some energy, try a cup stacking challenge. Provide small groups of standing students with 3 cups and 2 index cards. Each group must create a vertical tower. Then, have them quickly pull the index cards out so the cups fall in a clean stack. See how quickly the whole class can complete the task. If you've got a particularly creative group, collaborative class stories might be the perfect break. Open up a fresh Google Doc and ask one student to share a sentence they've made up. Next, have each student add on until everyone has contributed. Lastly, read the story back to the class and see what their final creation sounds like.
Also, here are some questions you can use to reflect on the information today. Use them to guide a small group or class-wide discussion. You can also draw a picture or write down your thoughts on a sheet of paper or in a journal. Lastly, these are the resources used for today's presentation. Thank you for listening.